All right, today's guest is Shea Mace, a living example that even the darkest seasons can become the foundation of purpose, healing, and service to others.
Mm.
Shay, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I am great. Thank
Yeah,
you. How are
yeah.
you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a pleasure having you on the show. I want to jump right into this. Take us back to the beginning, before anyone knew you were struggling. What was really happening inside of you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, I mean, I think my whole life, I feel like since early childhood, I always felt like I was different. I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere. I felt like, um, when I would go to school, I moved around a lot as a kid. I moved almost every year. So I was always a new kid. And so I never really had like a stable group of friends. And I think that made it difficult for me to form an identity,
Right.
kind of. I didn't know. I was always changing and always being around different people, and I never felt like I fit in with a certain group of people, which as a child was really painful. As an adult, obviously there are many, many benefits that I can see now, but as a kid, I was just in a lot of pain. And then I had a really tough kind of family life too. I endured different types of abuse as a child, and really didn't have a good support system
Mm,
in my family or obviously with my friends. So I felt really alone most of my childhood. Um, and I struggled early on with feelings of like depression and anxiety. And
mm,
I didn't know at the time that that's what those were. I just knew I didn't feel good. And because I didn't have a good support system, unfortunately, I turned to drugs and alcohol while I was in high school to kind of, I thought, help me cope
right.
with all of the stuff that was going on inside of me, because it made me feel good. It made me forget all
Yeah.
the pain that I was feeling inside. So, obviously it's a natural thing. And we often look at addicts and alcoholics as people who just have impulse control problems, or just they don't know how to stop. Like, it's so much deeper than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously.
um yeah, so I'm grateful to know that now, but I definitely internalized a lot of the terrible things that happened to me as a belief that there was something wrong with me.
Mm,
And
hmm.
I really believed that. And then I started to do things that were harming myself. And then that just reinforced that belief. It's like a vicious cycle you start on, almost like a hamster wheel.
Right.
You start on and you can't get off. And you're just like, I hate myself, so I'm going to do things to hurt myself. And it's just literally a cycle that is so hard to break out of.
Yeah. Now, at that stage, when you started using alcohol, how aware were you that things were getting out of control?
Um, Initially, it didn't feel like things were. I was a teenager. I kind of had that
Yeah.
invincibility thing going on. Like, I could do anything and not, there won't be consequences. And at the same time, I think I didn't care. Like, because
Mm,
I didn't care about myself,
yeah. Yeah. And the
so
alcohol it gives you this feeling like you just like you said invincible. You don't care. You
yes,
think everything
yes.
is exempt when it comes to you, right?
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
gives you all kinds of confidence,
Yeah.
especially socially in social situations. Like, I had a lot of
Mm,
social anxiety. Alcohol helped me feel more normal, I
yeah.
guess, around other people. It helped me feel like I was a part of a group, which I think deep down I was always looking for.
Yeah.
It was just not the right, venue to do that, but I didn't know. I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Did anyone look at you? Sometimes we go to maybe a party or a get together and we had a few too many, and we think we're in this rhythm, but other people are looking at us like, look at this, look at this guy, look at this. Did that ever happen to you?
So, absolutely, like, maybe not so much early on, but as things
Yeah.
progressed, absolutely. I mean, it became very, very apparent. But I was also very I don't know, smart, I guess, about the way that I did it. I knew it was making me feel better. So I started hiding it,
Mm,
like because I didn't want it to stop.
yeah,
So I hid it and I was kind of in a way good at hiding it, which I think kept the consequences at bay for longer,
yeah,
and made it more difficult to get out of it
yeah,
ultimately.
yeah. What do you think your lowest point was?
Oh my gosh. Ooh, there's been a few. So I was well, I'll pick a couple, but
Okay.
well, the first one that comes to mind, the first time that I got clean. So I eventually like started, I'll just go back a little bit. I started with alcohol and marijuana and worked my way up relatively quickly while I was still in high school to heroin
Mm,
and got addicted to heroin. And by the time I was 22 years old, I was homeless, basically living out of my car, um, and had warrants out for my arrest.
wow.
Had burned all the bridges of family and friends. I really had nothing, and I definitely didn't have any self-esteem or self-respect
Mm,
at that point. And I just didn't care anymore whether I lived or died. And that was definitely one of my lowest points. And it was also a springboard for an incredible amount of change.
yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, I didn't learn my lesson fully the first time. I did get clean and I stayed clean and sober for 13 years. And then I did have a relapse with alcohol
Yeah.
because by that time I thought I had figured it all out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, I figured it all out. I can drink a little bit. I'll be fine.
We think we're in control, right? We think we have everything
Yes.
under control.
We think I definitely.
Yeah.
But I think there was a part of me deep, deep down that knew that that wasn't true, but I
Right.
pushed that far, far away.
Yeah.
Because again, like getting sober and getting clean, it doesn't take the pain away. It actually takes the thing that was numbing the pain away.
Yeah.
So then you're just left with all this pain. And
Right.
you're like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
And this was back in the early 2000s where you know, the internet isn't what it wasn't what it is today. We didn't have as much information on addiction or trauma or
Right.
PTSD or any of those things. So, I was trying to get help from people that really couldn't help me.
Right.
So, I turned my pain into something different at that time. I turned it into career, ambition, kids, marriage. I thought those things would make me happy,
Right.
and those things didn't make me happy either. But from like society standpoint, I looked like I was doing great.
Right. Right.
I had a huge house, I had a BMW, I had a wonderful husband and two beautiful children, I had a great career, and I wanted to die
Wow.
because I still was carrying all of that pain inside of me.
Yeah.
And so 13 years go by and I'm like, I can't live like this anymore. I'm going to start drinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what was the moment you realized, something has got to change here?
Yeah, so that kind of led to my second, I would say, rock
Oh,
bottom
yeah.
moment, which was I think I drank for about 5 years. And it wasn't like, I would say I was a binge drinker. I could
Mhm.
go days without drinking, but when I did drink, I would drink to black out.
Yeah.
And that obviously didn't help anything.
Yeah.
Eventually I became so um just broken inside,
Yeah.
and in so much pain that I was definitely wanting to end my life. I was calling suicide hotlines.
Mm,
I didn't know why people wanted to be alive. I
yeah.
didn't understand like joy or peace. I didn't have any of it. And so thankfully again, like that second rock bottom moment
Yeah.
absolutely was a catapult for finally addressing all of the underlying trauma and underlying pain that I was carrying.
Yeah,
And thank God that I got there
yeah.
eventually,
Now
and I
that's a
didn't give up.
serious, right? Exactly. That's a serious, serious place to be. How did you come out of it?
So, thankfully already knew about a little bit about addiction and
Mhm.
recovery and all of that, from going through it the first time. So I did what I knew what to do, which was go to AA meetings. So I started even, I just started going to AA meetings, and then it just reminded me of who I was,
Yeah,
and reminded me that my life was worth living.
right.
So it was a kind of a conglomeration of things, but initially, honestly, AA, and I don't go to AA anymore, but it did serve as a helpful tool for me in the beginning.
Right. Now, what did asking for help look like for you?
Ooh, that's a very good question. And I'm still learning that, by the
Mhm.
way. I think that that is a hard thing for hyper independent people, which I definitely am. And that is a learned trauma response because again, when you're a kid and you don't have anybody to go to,
Yeah,
you learn that you're the only person you can count on.
right.
And the flip side of that too, or another aspect of that is that, you know, when we are younger or whenever in our lives, if we try to be vulnerable and ask for help and we're shot down,
Yeah, yeah,
makes it real hard to ask for help again.
yeah. Do you
Um,
remember a moment when you were shot down?
oh my gosh, yes, yes.
Mm,
Yeah, tons of
mm.
times,
Who did
unfortunately.
you go to? Who did you go to? If you want to talk about that, Paul, who did you go to?
Um, I mean, definitely some close family members.
Okay.
And instead of, finding support and compassion, I was met with judgment and shame.
Mm, yeah,
Like that there was something wrong with me and I better figure it out and I'm an embarrassment to the family, and
yeah,
that whole thing. And you know, I don't hold resentment or anger towards those people anymore because I know they just didn't know any better,
right, right,
but it definitely made it difficult to learn how to ask for help.
right.
So now, I mean, how I learned how to do it and how I'm still learning how to do it is to do it even when I'm scared.
Absolutely, at
Because
100%.
that's the only way.
That's the only way. Just
It's
face
the
it.
only way.
Yeah. Now, how did you begin facing anxiety and depression without numbing the pain?
Yeah. Gosh, so many ways. So again, like initially finding like I guess community through meetings was helpful to be around people that were at least going through a similar experience and struggle as me. So being around people that I felt kind of safe around, at least with respect to the fact that like I knew they were like me
Right.
in some aspect. Um, but gosh, I mean, so many things I had to do to to get to where I am today.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you, for who you are today, who you've become. You walked through the storm, you made it out on the other side, and I'm proud of you for that. And when did you first, you're welcome, when did you first notice that, you weren't just surviving anymore, but you were truly healing?
Oh gosh. That's a good question too. You got tons of good questions. um, I think in the last 2 years or so, things really started to ramp up where I finally learned what it meant to love myself.
Mhm.
Um, and again, that is a process that is ongoing, right?
Right.
I don't know if that ever goes away. It's moment to moment,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
moment to moment learning how to show up for myself. But what I did notice is that I would be in a situation that I had been in multiple times before. And all the times in the past, I either hated it or had all kinds of anxiety or,
Mm.
stress in my body, things like that. And then I would find myself in the same situation and notice, like, oh my God, I'm not feeling any of those things
Yeah, it's a beautiful place to
anymore.
be, right?
It's a beautiful place. Like the triggers were gone. And the triggers were gone because I had healed. And I was like, oh, that's what healing is. Honestly, before I started healing, I thought healing was a joke. I didn't think healing really existed.
Yeah. Are you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, it froze up for about maybe 15 seconds.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Okay. All
yeah,
right, we back.
yeah. We're back. We're back.
Okay.
Now, what surprised you most about who you became when you came through the other side? What surprised you most about yourself?
I still surprise myself every day. Because I think, again, I think one of the things that I learned about myself is how much fear I had in me,
Yeah,
how much fear I was carrying in my body and in my mind and my soul. I really was so afraid. I was
yeah,
afraid to be seen. I was afraid to feel anything.
right.
Um, so yeah, I mean that was the biggest thing, I think.
Wow. Now you made it through it. How is Shay doing today?
Shay's great. So I am an attorney.
Nice.
Um, I before becoming an attorney, I was a physician assistant for 15 years. And to be those things after going through what I have been through is the accomplishment for me. It's not an accomplishment for me to just be those things. You know what I mean? I think those things are great. I think most people can do those things with enough hard work.
Yeah.
But what makes me proud is that I did those things despite numerous people telling me when I was 22 years old that I would never amount to anything.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard those words before myself. Yeah. Wow. If someone is listening to us right now and they're dealing with alcohol and addiction to whatever it is, substance abuse, what would you tell that person right now?
You are so worthy. You are so worthy of love. Um, don't give up. Do not give up because there is a a beautiful life waiting for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Shea, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. We're running out of time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I must hear more of your story because it feels like I'm missing out on a lot more. There's so
Yeah,
much I want to ask you and talk to you about, just so we can help someone else who may be watching. Right?
absolutely.
Yeah. So we have to do a part two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
let's do a part two, ladies and gentlemen. Shea Mace, right here on the Power Hour. We'll see you next time.